evening. I'll call this meeting of the Cartersville City Council to order. Council, if you'll please make sure your microphone's around and then stand for our invocation and pledge.
Good evening, everyone. It is my opportunity to give invocation tonight. And we've already heard conversation and comments from our councilman about the tragedy that happened in Wanda, Georgia. And I just want to echo, on behalf of the city council and city government, our heartfelt feelings for the victims and for the young man that's the center of the attraction. And it's amazing how our world is changing and turning. But all day long, I had in my mind that the song we used to sing in school, Jesus loved the little children, all the little children of the world, red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in his sight. Jesus loved the little children. And I wanted to echo that tonight to kind of put us in the right tone and to once again give recognition to our first responders, the police chief, the fire department, and whomever. But I'm just touched and been thinking about it all day long. But nevertheless, we're here to do the business of the city and be on one accord. And let us pray. Our Father in heaven, we thank you for the daily bread. We thank you for grace and for mercy. We thank you for the city that we live in. We thank you for your protection and your guidance that never change, never sleep, never slumber. We ask you, Father, to come down and be in the midst of this city council meeting as we do the business of the city to make sound judgment and be pleasing in your sight. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Drake, the roll, please.
Harry Hyde, Ward 1. Here, Jay Stepp, Ward 2. Fred Rock, Ward 3.
Here.
Calvin Cooley, Ward 4.
Here.
Gary Fox, Ward 5.
Here.
Alyssa Cordell, Ward 6. Here.
Thank you, Julia. First order of business is the approval of our council meeting minutes from August 15th. And council, you had an opportunity to look these minutes over. Now would be the time to make any corrections, if any are needed. And if there are none, a motion is in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And the minutes are approved. Mr. Hardigree, get us started out in a good way tonight, please.
Yes, sir. I'll be happy to do that, Mr. Mayor. This first item is in recognition of the former chair of the HPC, Mr. Greg Frisbee, who is here this evening. We'd like to recognize his 14 years of service on the Preservation Commission, with 10 years serving as chair. He certainly has made an impact to the commission in the way he's handled the meetings, the way he's brought logic and self-control to a lot of the very emotional discussions that the commission does have with this. So we would like to just honor him this evening for his 14 years contribution.
Absolutely. As you make your way up, Mr. Frisbee, I will add on to that and thank you for serving as my appointee for, 14 years. And I appreciate your thoughtfulness, your care, your time and your consideration, your empathy, and your leadership. So thank you.
Well, thank you for this recognition. I've enjoyed it. It's a surprise to me when David said it's been 14 years. But it's a good commission. The preservation effort for downtown is much needed. I think we have made a good impact on preserving what we have downtown. And again, I've enjoyed it, and we can turn it over to the next generation to come up and get involved in the community. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg. you. All right, David, you did such a good job with that. Let's give you a couple more.
All right, let's do this. Next item, this is to authorize the mayor to sign a agreement with the Department of Community Affairs for a CLG grant that we received. The grant is to help pay for the required historic resource survey updates that DCA requires for our 4 residential historic districts. This is a 60-40 matching grant. The grant was for $24,000. The city will match that with $16,000. The agreement just acknowledges acceptance of the grants and that the city will comply with all the grant requirements. So we're just authorizing the mayor to sign that agreement.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Hardigree on this? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to authorize the mayor to sign the agreement.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next item, please.
All right, next item. For the same purposes, this is a historic resource survey consultant agreement. Earlier this spring, we went through an RFP process to find a historic resource consultant who could help with that survey. RFP was issued. A couple of qualified bids did come in. We selected the lowest bid. That company was with Impact 7G. Their bid came back in at around $34,500 under the $40,000 that we budgeted. So we selected those. They were the lowest qualified bidder. We have a professional services agreement that was reviewed by city attorney. A couple of revisions were made to it. So we're asking that the mayor be authorized to sign that professional services agreement as soon as we get the final copy back and have it reviewed by the city attorney's office. I'll also add for the record that this afternoon I was notified that Impact 7G will also be merging with an environmental engineering firm, Eocene Environmental Group. So there's a chance that when we get that services agreement back for signature, it will reflect the merger as opposed to the RFP that we received back from Impact 7G, but the financials will still be the same.
Thank you. Any questions on the agreement? If there are none, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. Mr. Porter, you have the next item.
Yes, Mayor,
Or
this is
so.
a Georgia Power encroachment agreement. They have some transmission lines that are running through Jackson Farm subdivision. It's a standard encroachment agreement and recommend for approval.
Questions, comments, or motions?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And the motion carries unanimously. Mr. McKee, you are up, sir.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So the first item that we have is Fourth Amendment to the Solar Power Purchase Contract. The Electric Department requests approval of the Fourth Amendment to the Power Purchasing Contract with MEAG Power. This amendment addresses changes to the contract price, schedule, and increases in the security and delay damages for that PPC.
Thank you. You want to describe that a little bit more?
Sure, Mr. Mayor, basically this has been something we've been looking at for several years through MEAG. It was a solar power purchase contract. It's been changed from one vendor. This is changed from another vendor, but it's still to us a better deal to keep moving forward in this project, to be able to get some power off of here and through solar generation still at an affordable cost to our residents.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion?
I just want to say the importance of, I think, solar power is that we have a lot of industries that have a certain amount of green, need to have a certain amount of green, what we would say green power quote. And so I appreciate, even though this is a lot, and we change back and forth, we're still offering that to them, which makes us very competitive. So appreciate that. Appreciate the work.
Thank you.
Good point. Thank you, Councilman. Any other questions or comments? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. And motion carries unanimously. Please continue on, Tom.
All right, the next item, the Electric Department is requesting approval to purchase two 300 kVA 277 480 volt transformers. These will be stocked as emergency spares. We received 3 bids and deemed the bid from Gresco Utility Supply Incorporated to be the best based upon price as well as lead time. We request authorization to purchase these 2 units from Gresco Utility Supply for a total of $49,000, and this is a budgeted expense.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Final one for you, please, Tom.
All right, the final, Mr. Mayor and Council, annual Itron meter reading software maintenance invoice. Itron Incorporated has submitted the 2024-2025 invoice for the annual maintenance agreement and licensing required for our electric meter reading software. This is a budgeted item, and I recommend approval to pay this invoice in the amount of $16,493.59.
Thank you. Any discussion? If there's none, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Tom. Mr. Dixon, you are up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The gas system requested proposals from four local vendors for fencing around a metering station at the SK America battery plant. We only received one quote from Cartersville Fence Company for $17,728.56. This is a budget item, and we recommend council's approval to accept this quote.
Is that number in line with what you anticipated paying since you had a single vote? Or single
From the last fencing we did, I think was on the Transco station, and it's pretty much gone up, some since then,
Like
but,
everything else. It's in order with what you would expect, though?
yes, it is.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank
Thank you, Michael. Chief McCann, your turn.
I'd have to follow Michael. Good evening. This is a request to lease 9 new flock camera systems to be placed strategically around the city. The total cost of the lease is $39,100, and it will be paid for with federal asset forfeiture funds.
Thank you. Any discussion with the chief on this? If there are none, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Motorola portable radios, chief.
This is a request to purchase 6 new Motorola portable radios for the 6 sworn officers positions that we were given this fiscal year. Total cost is $30,781.92, and it will be paid for with federal asset forfeiture funds.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item, please.
Okay, this is a request to purchase munitions for our tactical team, CSOC, and a 40 millimeter launcher. This equipment has a shelf life, so we have to replace it periodically. So that's what we're doing. We are adding a 40 millimeter launcher because it works better than the one we have. So, and it'll also be paid for with federal asset forfeiture funds.
Thank you. Questions for chief? Motion is in order.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Champion, your turn.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This first request is for a forcible entry prop. This prop allows our firefighters to train on site at the training center as well as at the stations. This prop gives them unlimited repetitions and simulates forcing entry into a commercial or residential structure. We sought bids for this training prop from 3 vendors, and we're going with the lowest quote of $8,710. This is a budgeted item, and it's through Firehouse Innovations. We do recommend approval.
Thank you. Questions for Chief Champion on this? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item, please,
Thank
Chief.
you. This next item is a gear locker purchase for a new Fire Station 5. These lockers are in 3 of our other fire stations, and they're proven product. We sought quotes from vendors, and there's only one sole source in the area for this, Mason Hall and the company, for a quote of $16,145 installed. And this is part of the FFE package for Station 5.
Okay. Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Last is a loose equipment purchase for the 3 new trucks that'll be arriving in January. We sought quotes from 5 authorized dealers. We received one full quote back from Municipal Emergency Services for a total of $330,281.03. This is a budgeted item, is a capital expense, and will be paid through the general fund and reimbursed through the 2020 SPOS if funds become available.
Thank you. Again, any questions or comments? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries unanimously. I appreciate all the eagerness tonight. That's fantastic. Mr. Roberts, you got the next item.
Parks and Recreation Department is seeking approval for GeoHydro to conduct a geotechnical evaluation of the property for 640 North Tennessee Street for the location of the new recreation center. The scope of work will include locating utilities, clearing core sites, conducting 20 test borings, obtaining groundwater readings, and backfilling those soil cuttings. Samples of that will be examined, classified, and the boring records will be prepared. This is so that we can move forward and know what our soil qualities are out there. So it will be a $15,150 cost. And on there you see there is some private locator services that we will not use. So.
Okay, very good. Questions for Steve on this?
Is that a detention pond on the back side?
Yes. We have a couple of other retention underground stuff up on the front side, but yes, that is.
And that's like a path that goes around?
That is a walking trail that goes around.
Every time you come up here and you bring something we're approving, it's one step closer.
Oh, yes, sir.
Motion to approve.
I don't think I called for a motion. No, I'm just kidding. Got a motion and a second. All in favor? Sorry, I didn't mean to pose you. Oh, listen, I'm sorry. Motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. Now back in rhythm. All right. We got the first reading of an ordinance here. Steve, you've got that one too, sir.
Yes, sir. This is, I don't have to read this all. No. Okay. So this is, we're looking to change the ordinance to allow renting of the Civic Center for regularly scheduled meetings on weeknights and weekends, and provided that the rental term for the space is not greater than 1 year, and the days scheduled do not conflict with other uses based on the histories of the facility determined by the Parks and Rec. We do have a couple of different entities that are looking for some continuity and some meeting space, so they can schedule that out and us use that Civic Center in a lot more regularly scheduled, and it will. There are a lot of nights that we do not have anything in there, and this will allow us to kind of allow those people in there and do at least up to about a year out. So.
And more importantly, just offset the expense of having that building in existence, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Any discussion or questions on this first reading? We will do a second reading of this ordinance on September 19th and take it up for consideration. Thank you. Mr. Morgan, you are up next with his next several.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. We're requesting on this first ordinance reading an update to the schedule of charges ordinance. We're requesting to get some clarity to adjust this so we cover all of the letters of credit, bonds, and also cash payments on advance payments. And we humbly request that we have this update on this ordinance so we're have clarity for our employees and also for our in-use customers.
Okay, thank you. Are there questions or discussion to be had on this item? If there are none, once again, we'll have a second reading of this ordinance and have it for consideration at our meeting on September the 19th.
Okay.
Next item, please, Freddie.
Yes, sir. This is a request to do lead abatement at our firing range. This lead abatement needs to take place ahead of the construction that we'll be doing out there in the next couple of months. This cost for the abatement, the mobilization cost is $35,000. Recoil LLC will be doing the work, and that cost will be split between us and Bartow County, who utilizes our firing range also. And then any of the lead abatement that we have at a certain depth will be split between us and the county and Recoil.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or discussion? If not, a motion's in order.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next item, please, Freddie.
Yes, so this is a request to replace the west side swing gate at our fueling station that's adjacent to the gas department. The cost is $11,161.74. That cost will be split between Electric, Fiber, and Public Works, who have the warehouse space at that facility.
Okay. Again, question, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
You've got one more, I believe.
Yes, sir. This is the final contract update with Rees Young, who was our construction manager at risk at the Water Department facility. This change reflects a reduction in the original contract amount from $12,032,664 to $11,468,845. This is a 4.69% reduction in the final cost of that building. We gratefully and thankfully bring this forward to you. It came in under budget and in the time frame we needed.
I know that doesn't just happen by accident. There's a lot of hands that were involved with that, and so.
Yeah, I
I don't know
appreciate
if you want to
Freddie's
go
hard
into.
work and Cindy's, basically,
very
the
good
team
folks.
there, they put together and did a great job. This is the first big building that Freddie oversaw, and now he's
Yes.
on Fire Station 5. And
We got more coming.
Yes, yes, we do. Yes, we do. But we were just requesting that update for Reeves Young, and for our architect signs off on that, but we request your approval of that change.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, a motion's in order.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Freddie. While Steve's making his way up, we do have 2 items to add to the agenda tonight. I'll entertain a motion to add those 2 items.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. 2 items added, and Steve, when you get at the end of the ones, handle the added one when we get to the end of
Okay.
this one, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
I would keep track of it, but I'll forget, but you got a number of them, so let's go.
Yes, sir. Okay. Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor and Council. This is for the Grassdale Road Improvement Project. I've got a request to enter into agreement with the low bid contractor for this Grassdale Road Improvement Project. That's going to be 80% funded through the Transportation Alternatives Program grant that's offered by GDOT. Like I said, they were the low bid out of 4 responses we got, and they've been vetted through GDOT, and GDOT has sent us a concurrence letter, the District 6 Construction Office, that they agree with our recommendation. So like I said, it's 80% funded through the grant. The remaining 20% of the project cost is non-budgeted and will be paid for by SPLOST and split evenly between Bartow County and the City of Cartersville. Public Works recommends approval of the construction agreement with Backbone Infrastructure.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. FY '25 LMIG.
Yes, sir. This is our annual GDOT LMIG grant that we get, and we normally use it for paving of our streets. We're proposing to do that again this year. We're proposing 11 roads, including Hill Street, River Drive, Mockingbird Drive, Townsley Drive, Bruce Street, Etowah Drive, Forest Lane, Schwisher Drive, Weichel Street, Parkview Drive, and Lake Haven Drive. These roads total 4.4 miles. Etowah Drive is not the entire length. There's a seam at about 511 Etowah Drive, so we would be going to where that had been paved previously on Etowah Drive, just to be clear on that one. But the grant amount from GDOT is $323,486.21. The estimated total project cost is $1,373,486.21. Approximately $550,000 will come from the 2020 SPLOST And the remaining $500,000 will be funded by our maintenance and resurfacing budget. The grant requires a 30% local match, which won't be a problem with, the total cost. This is a budget item. We recommend approval of this grant application.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Just want to remind the mayor and council, obviously you guys approved the budget earlier this year, and this is the second year in a row we have increased the spending on this coming out of the general fund. So this is obviously going to help our citizens, and we'll continue to try to spend more money on, to ramp up the schedule on repaving roads.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
What if I don't see my street on here?
There is a scoring mechanism. And,
You need to move.
No, there is a, that's one, there is a scoring mechanism.
Yes, sir.
That we go out and rate the roads and.
Yes, sir.
So there is a process.
There is a process, and we get questions occasionally on that, and Wade and Steven can attest to this. They go out and score it, and if it meets the standards, and we'll put it on the list. But again, we're trying to go out there more frequently. In the past, many years ago, we were doing it maybe once every 30 years. We've kind of cut it down, probably depending on, this is 1.3 million until we get the bids. We don't know how many, we'll be able to increase it 4.4 miles depending on the bid comes in. But that's kind of based on last year's number.
Right.
But we are trying to increase this budgeted cost every year and be able to pave in a more frequent time period.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion? If not, a motion's in order.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. We've got some change orders.
Yes, sir.
Project, I don't think anybody in town knows what's going on. If you haven't noticed, we've got a little project going on at Leek Street and Irwin Street. We got some change orders. Go ahead, Steve.
Yes, sir. Okay, this first one labeled change order number 2, it has to do with some unforeseen underground utility issues that we got into. There's some pictures up there on the TV kind of illustrating that. Currently, this project's scheduled to be done this Thanksgiving. I'll be glad when it gets done. Change orders requested by Public Works since site engineering had to address a cracked sewer line that was run right over the top of a storm line. I wouldn't have believed it unless I'd seen it. And I mean, there's pictures you can see where the storm line was open, but a long time ago, somebody decided, I guess, to save space or whatever, that it'd be a good idea to cut the top of the storm line and set a sewer line through the top of a storm line, but not ideal. But anyways, site engineering and our support RPR consultant, CTI, they were really good in coming up with a good solution, I thought, and they got it sealed off both for the storm line and the sewer, and got it filled in, and the intersection's open right now. The cost of this change order is $15,415 for the repairs to the sewer line, and currently the project is still under budget even if this change order is approved due to actual quantities being less than the estimated quantities for the project. It looks like that's going to stay true too, unless something else unforeseen happens, which, knock on wood, that won't happen. But it's an adventure when you get into some of these downtown areas underground. But this last paragraph, Wade told me I have to read. This amendment will be paid out of the American Rescue Plan Act ARPA funds. This is not a budgeted item, but it has been determined that these services would qualify for ARPA funding, as the city feels that this project would help our stormwater division manage, reduce, and recapture stormwater drainage that would result in reduced flooding at this location. Therefore, this project would meet the requirements for eligibility of ARPA funds. This is a budget item. Public Works recommends approval of this amendment.
Well done.
Thank
I
you.
do have a question. I'm afraid to go home, number one, because you said that's not going to be over until Thanksgiving. My wife's not going to be happy with that.
No.
But the second part is how farther down is the scope of work of this project? Will it come towards Main Street, or is that exactly where it is right now, or does it move?
Yeah, it's not going to go any further up the hill towards Main Street. That's pretty much where it's going to be. They actually have been working back down the hill because they've sort of transitioned from working on the storm lines to working on the sewer lines being relocated. Some people kind of wonder about how it looks, the optics of it, because they'll dig something up, cover something up, and then dig something else up. They're dealing with different utilities, and so that's why it appears that way and seems sort of chaotic just when people come by and look at it. But yeah, there's a lot of adjustments they got to make for everything to fit underground. There's a lot going on.
Yep.
A lot more than I thought, to be honest with you. But we're getting
Very
through
good.
it.
Well, thank you for that. Are there any other questions or discussion? If not, a motion to approve project change order number 2 is in order.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Project change order number 3.
Number 3, yes, sir. CTI engineers negotiated on behalf of Cartersville this past January, reduced the original contract price with site engineering from $2,166,530 to $1,890, $1.89 million basically, which saved $276,250 in the project cost. That was change order number 1. But when they did that, CTI allowed site to have a 240-day timeline versus a 120-day timeline. The 120 days actually ends today. So the original contract we have, CTI, is basically run out, and we're still dealing with this project that hopefully will be done by Thanksgiving. So CTI Engineers has come to us requesting a change order for $39,473 to perform construction inspection, construction services, and create as-built submittal project documentation to get us all the way through the end of the project. So this change order, if approved, will ensure CTI provides services throughout the full life of the project. And then I've got the standard paragraph Wade wants me to read again. This amendment will be paid out of the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA funds. This is not a budget item, but it has been determined that these services would qualify for ARPA funding, as the city feels that this project would help our stormwater division manage, reduce, and recapture stormwater drainage that would result in reducing flooding at this location. Therefore, this project would meet the requirements for eligibility of ARPA funds. And this is a budgeted item. Public Works recommends approval of this amendment.
Thank you. Any discussion? Motion to approve change order number 3 would be in order.
Motion to approve change order number 3.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. You take a deep breath and keep going?
Sure.
All right, let's go.
All right, item number 26, asphalt repair and placement. There's a location within Carter Grove Boulevard going down the hill in the outside lane that continues to fail due to subgrade and bonding issues on the downward gradient near where the new fire station number 5 is being built, right across from it. Public Works has reached out to several asphalt contractors for pricing and interest to repair this issue. Of the few that have responded, the Surface Masters has been the most economical and cost efficient. In addition to repair Carter Grove Boulevard, we have requested pricing to asphalt the approach apron / driveway for Sam Smith parking lot. The Surface Masters propose to complete the repair on Carter Grove Boulevard and pave the drive for Sam Smith Park for a lump sum of $19,500. We recommend Mayor and Council grant permission for Public Works to sign the proposal to perform the work. The breakdown for each task will come out of the Public Works road maintenance and Parks and Recreation funds.
These were not budgeted items, but when Wade and Steve brought me the Carter Grove issue, I asked about Sam Smith Park because we're still waiting on the canoe kayak, and just figured go ahead and let's get that done. That piece on Sam Smith Park was supposed to take care of canoe kayak, but we could be waiting another year for that one. So.
And also, we keep having to dump gravel over there too, right? So this will kind of take care of that issue.
It'll save us money that way long term.
Good, thank you. Any other discussion? If there's none, a motion's in order.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And then we did have the one added item that is yours.
Okay.
Stephen, if you'll handle that for us, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, Council. This is Collins Drive at Tennessee Street Property Acquisition Services Agreement. We have before you a proposal from THC Incorporated. for right-of-way acquisition services. We've got a concept that we're finalizing for the roundabout at Collins Drive and Tennessee Street. And one of the next steps in our project is to look at acquiring some right-of-way. Additional right-of-way is needed whenever you put a roundabout in. It's just geometrically bigger. The proposal we have before you is $16,500, and like I said, it's for THC provide right-of-way acquisition services. THC, they recently provided similar services for the Grassdale Road Improvement Project that I just mentioned earlier. This is a budgeted item that will be paid for by the 2020 SPLOST.
Thank you. Questions for Stephen on this? If there are none, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Porter, you got the last three tonight.
Yes, sir. The first item is a public hearing. So we've discussed this about Mimosa Lane, about abandoning that as a city street. Basically, the process is to do a public hearing, take input from the citizens, and if you're interested further, then the resolution, that'd be the next item, to approve the resolution that would abandon that. And also in the resolution, it does have where the city obtains easements for our utilities that are in place out there. So, Mr. Mayor, I'll turn it back over to you for a public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. I will open up a public hearing for the proposed abandonment of Mimosa Lane, or at least that portion of it, and ask anybody who wishes to step forward and speak for or against to do so at this time. And as with anybody who wishes to speak with council, we need your name and your address so we can put it in the minutes.
Ron Goss, 120 West Cherokee Avenue. We're the property owners too of 101 and 103 North Tennessee Street, which is the north side of the intersection. For clarity purposes, the Mimosa Lane that we're referencing is not the two-way Mimosa that feeds Wildwood subdivision. It is the north leg of that. Currently, it's basically a non-utilized road, substandard, 9 to 12 feet width on asphalt. It's in need of repair and repaving, of which the city, I don't think, desires to take that on. It is a two-way street, even though it's only 9 to 11 feet wide. Reason for the immediate request for this abandonment and conveyance, Windsong property on the development, they are going to, in their development plan, eliminate some of the driveways that are right at the east intersection where it forks off. Their approved plan is somewhat subject to the outcome of this. If not, they'll need to make modifications to their plans. Cobb Chiropractic, and they're here and we'll let them speak, but they have an exit that exits right at the intersection of Tennessee Street. There's some safety concerns there because of the narrow nature. Additionally, I had met with Public Works and with the DOT looking at how to develop that corner in the future. Obviously, there's a Tennessee Street overlay district, some plans for widening, and concerns on how to make that happen better long term. By abandoning this, it helps us sort of move forward with some future plans, which would currently you have 3 entrances into properties and 3 exits. With what we're looking at, there's some driveways that are going to be given up. You would only have 1 designated entrance and 1 exit, so there'd be some shared driveways internally on properties, which sort of meets the spirit of the overlay district eliminating all these small driveways. So that would allow us to move forward there. At this time, I believe it has the support of all the city departments. As Mr. Porter said, gas and water departments will retain easements. There's also a 60-foot easement that will stay with the city in the event that they widen that intersection or widen Tennessee Street. At this point, I think you have everything before you for consideration of this and to move forward. So we ask that you give consideration and abandon it and then do the conveyance. At Mr. Lovell's request, there is a joint use agreement between the Cobb family and myself where that street would become private. We would share it as an entrance. one thing too, and I didn't realize this. I was talking to him a couple years ago before I moved on to Tennessee Street. One thing of value with those parcels is being able to access Joe Frank Harris out the back. With this plan, that would allow that for all three of those parcels to do that. I moved on to Tennessee Street, Carrie, you know, it's from 4:30 to 5:30. It's, you know, a day at the races. So that would allow all three of those parcels permanent access out the back to avoid, you know, Tennessee Street if they need. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, we'll continue the public hearing. Anybody wishing to step forward and speak for or against may do so at this time. And seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. That being said, we'll move on to resolution abandonment of Mimosa Lane, and council, turn it over to you for any discussion, questions, or consideration. And if there are none, a motion's in order.
I'll make a motion to abandon Mimosa Lane.
Approve the resolution.
Oh,
Approve the
Make a
resolution.
motion to approve the resolution, rather, sorry.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. And the motion carries unanimously. Thank you. So those two items, Dan, that just leaves us with the second item that was added to the agenda regarding a legal opt-out.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, our legal firm in Rome that's assisting us with the PFAS, which is a forever chemical, has received notification from Tyco and BASF for recently announced class action settlement, and we wish to opt out of that. And if we ever have to take any legal action, our legal team will work with Davis, Lucas, and Carter to assist us in going after it our own self. But recommendation is to opt out of the class action settlement with Tyco and BASF.
Okay. Any discussion or questions? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Is there any business that needs to come before the city this evening?
Yes, I got something else.
You know the drill. Name, address, 3 minutes you got.
Yes, sir. My name's Jason Trainer. I live at 18 Burke Hickory Connector here in Cartersville, Georgia. We discussed about I was just wondering about the unmarked cop cars. Are they funded by confiscated money, or are they funded by taxpayer money? The unmarked cop cars that were funded, were they funded by taxpayer money, or were they funded by money that was confiscated on the highway when someone does a crime?
Are you asking me, I mean, it's public comment time, or it's not public interrogation time, but they are, as the chief said earlier, when we bought some of these readers, they're bought with confiscated asset forfeiture money.
Okay, no, I'm not interrogating you guys. I'd like to know more information about it. What is a unmarked cop car allowed to do, and what are they not allowed to do in the public highways?
They have standards in place for police officers, just like we have standards in place for all city vehicles.
So can they pull someone over for a traffic violation, or is that the job of a regular police car?
Again, I guess if you want to have a conversation with the police chief, we can set that up. I mean, this is not something that we typically have at a council meeting, this type of format of questions. I don't want to speak for the police chief on what their duties are. I'd rather let the professional police chief answer those questions.
Well, I understand that. I just want to know the public, since I'm recording, what is a unmarked cop car allowed to do, and what are they not allowed to do? Because again, there's a lot of money being confiscated on the highways of each and every highway. We're talking thousands of billions of dollars. And my worry is, are people being pulled over for a crime, like a petty crime like marijuana, or are they just being pulled over for a traffic stop? And what is the unmarked cop car allowed to do? That's all I want to know. Are they allowed to give someone a ticket, or is that a regular cop car that's allowed to do that? What are they restricted to do when they are not? Because it's being funded by the public, and the public has a right to know what are the functions of unmarked cop car. Because back home, you know, they did that to me. They broke the law. They used excess of force, in their handling of a unmarked car. So what are their restrictions here? What are things set up so they don't break the law and put innocent people in jail? Because again, jail is a rape cage. Some bad stuff happens to them. So I just want to know, what are the restrictions? And what is a unmarked car allowed to do?
Is it your contention that if there's a sworn-in law enforcement official who happens to have a car that doesn't have anything on it, and they are aware of somebody who's violated the law, there's your 3 minutes, who has violated the law, your contention is because they are in an unmarked car that they should not enforce the laws that are in place?
No, that's
And
not
you can
what-
say that marijuana is petty. I might agree with you, I might not, but it is against the law in the state of Georgia.
Well, it is. I don't mess
Yeah.
around with myself.
Yeah.
No, but my question is, if it's just if it's a simple traffic violation, a simple speeding over 5 or 10 miles, or just a simple misunderstanding, can they pull people over, a unmarked car? Or is it the duties of a law officer to take that job?
Our law
Enforce it.
enforcement officers all take an oath to uphold the laws of the city of Cartersville, the state of Georgia, and the United States of America, so.
Okay,
And
where
we've got
can I
other
get
people
that
here. Thank
information?
you.
I'll close up.
Chief McCann at Cartersville Police.
Can I
Be
get
happy to
that
do that. If
online?
you want to wait afterwards, we'll give you his email address.
Can I find that online too, Mayor?
What's that?
Can I find that online? What are the restrictions and what is a undercover cop allowed to do here in
Again,
Georgia?
that would be an answer, as Mr. Porta said, to be answered by our police chief, and I'll
All
get
right,
you his contact information. Thank you. Any other business to come before the city of Cartersville this evening? Good evening. Your name and address, please.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I'm Madison Cook, and I live at 11 Hampton Lane. I'm a nurse at Wellstar. In January, I went to the Cartersville Police Department and pressed criminal charges against a massage therapist. Based on my own experience and what I've learned since, this therapist appears to have a history of groping and video recording clients. Until last week, the last update I received from the police was in March of this year. The suspect has since left the state, and according to public records, he has obtained a massage license there. The serious lag time afforded to him due to apparent inaction by detectives here has enabled this man to continue to potentially harm other clients. I originally planned to come here this evening to speak about the lack of follow-up by the police. Fortunately, as of last week, my case has been picked up by a detective, a new sergeant, as I learned today. He asked if I wanted to press charges, and I told him I already had in January. I come tonight as an advocate for victims like me to point out how unfortunate and potentially dangerous it could be for a matter like this to languish unattended for months. But let me be clear, I do have hope again after speaking with Sergeant Dustin Herron this afternoon. He's new to my case, and he has been most supportive. Not only is Sergeant Herron apologetic for the lack of follow-up from the police department, he's also professional and wants to see justice in my case. My hope is to bring attention to the importance of following up cases and not letting them slip through the cracks. I fully understand how difficult the job of law enforcement is, but out of respect for the people of Cartersville and their safety, sometimes just a heads up to let us know you're on the case can make all the difference. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And let me add, I'm sorry that you experienced that. Any other business that needs to come before the city of Cartersville tonight?
Mayor, I had a question. My name is Mike Lusk. I live at 4 Twin Leaf Court in Cartersville. Just following up on the meeting, I think it was 2 meetings ago, where we talked about the old fire station. There was a request to find out what it would cost to keep 2 of the walls. I was looking at the notes of the historic preservation meeting. I didn't see any resolution to that, and wondered if you guys could tell us what was happening.
There was a letter that was sent to the Historic Preservation Commission.
All right.
I sent that to the chair of the Historic Preservation Commission. Based on work that our architect, that Mr. Porta instructed him to do, those 2 walls were going to be in excess, estimated around $600 to $1 million.
Just to maintain those 2 walls?
Just to attempt to save those 2 walls. From there were additional annual maintenance costs that would have been between $10,000 and $20,000. I can tell you that council looked at different options, maybe just saving the front wall, trying to save this and balance out, again, the importance of saving a historic structure in downtown versus being respectful of taxpayer money.
Totally understand.
I think and unfortunately, the way that building was constructed, you couldn't tie it in with a new structure. I was unaware of that when all this started. I can tell you, council took an awful lot of time and consideration. I don't think anybody's really thrilled to see that building go away.
Yeah.
But we're going to be building a new history, and I know that we're working with the architect to try to incorporate elements of the building that is disappearing to be included into the new building.
Thank you for your time. I
Yes, sir.
appreciate that. That was important that we close that circle there.
Thank you for the question. Any other business to come before the city council tonight? If not, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. We're adjourned.